Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Unit Lost. I am Stylosa, and I'm kind of sad, ladies and gentlemen. I never got a chance to interview Jeff at BlizzCon because, well, I mean, honestly, I had so much stuff to do. It was completely ridiculous. However, there is a really good interview that is on VentureBeat, and what we're going to do is break this down because it asks quite a lot of questions that I would have asked Jeff if I would have got the chance. I'm so gutted I didn't get the chance because I think I was doing the stupid loot box thing, which we'll never talk about again, ladies and gentlemen, although maybe I will do a bit of a BlizzCon breakdown video and explain everything that went on because it's so, well, it'll be interesting for you guys to see it from behind the scenes, all of the stuff that I was doing at BlizzCon and just the way it is, because it is crazy hectic. Oh my god. A mad shout out to the people in the Hilton who were chanting my name as I walked in. You know, you are. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's get stuck into this. So this is from VentureBeat, and there is a link in the description of this video where you can check out the whole interview. It's pretty in-depth, but what I've done is broke this down into a couple of things. So let's get stuck into Moira, because this is what Jeff says about that. We have a pretty good instinct for the game. Our instinct was towards a healer. I felt like there are some cases where we want to get to a place before the community does. It's funny because they rage at us and feel like we're out of touch with the game, and we're like, we know. We've been there all along. Moira's been in development for months, way before people were making noises about another healer. We felt like that's what the game needed, which is fair enough, right? Now, obviously, they know what heroes they're developing. They can't just make a hero in a few weeks. It takes months to make these heroes. So it's good that they do understand the type of heroes that we need, so that is kind of fine, and it's a decent opening statement for the interview. However, they go on. What's interesting, when you say hybrid healer, a lot of people get nervous and go, well, then she can't main heal. She can't keep up a team. This character can, especially with the right team comp. On the one hand, her healing that she does is cone-based, similar to Mei's freezing spray. It hits everyone in an area. If you have a group all together, you're doing a lot of healing on all of them. It also leaves a heal over time on them, in addition to just the throughput healing it's doing. But if your comp has someone like a Genji who's always flying in front of everyone, well, the thing is with this, it's an interesting comment, this is, because hybrid characters usually are not strong at one point, right? She can't be an amazing healer and amazing DPS. She is a pretty good healer. I'm going to say that right away. The amount of healing she can output, this hero, is quite crazy if the team are together. Like, if it's a heavy tank comp, she's really good, because the only thing that can stop her heal is a barrier, and the enemy would have to put a barrier into your team to stop that, which makes her like an insanely good tank healer. In fact, I think that's kind of what she's going to be. However, the comment about Genji is interesting, because what you can do with Genji is throw your healing orb, and Genji can follow the healing orb. Also, your ultimate Coalescence is really good for healing Genji when he's using his Dragon Blade. I've noticed that. It's completely ridiculous. Anyway, Jeff goes on to say, I wouldn't necessarily say the hardest. They're a lot of fun for us to design. Now, this is in reference to our healers, the hardest characters to design in the game. The challenge with any new hero is, how do you do something different that's unlike the other heroes? Lucio's really that radius-based, aura-based healer with high mobility. Mercy's a single target beam attach. Zenyatta is putting orbs on people. Trying to come up with a new mechanic, if you're the type of player who only plays healing characters, you don't want to touch any other character in the roster. You still have a really diverse selection to play from. All right, this is fine. I mean, she is kind of like a little bit hybridized from some of the characters. Like, a primary weapon is Mercy. I think actually in this article, Jeff does say the fade ability, where she can go invisible and control her motion as she does that, is sort of a mix up between Wraith form and Tracer's blink, because you can't control blink, but you can control Wraith form, and yeah, it's kind of like that. So they are starting to sort of borrow mechanics from other like heroes in the game. But let's be honest, you know, it's going to be extremely difficult to invent new heroes with totally new mechanics. Maybe we'll see that sometime in the future, but you know, maybe we get like a pet hero, because we don't have anybody who can control like pets and spawn like minions or anything like that. Maybe that's something that we'll see down the line. But it is interesting to know that's kind of what Jeff's thinking about. Now, obviously, we've covered Moira here, and Moira is, I think, a pretty interesting hero. We're going to have to play her more. There will be some content on this channel showing you the pros playing Moira, because, again, we'll be able to find out like how they're playing her and all that good stuff. I've noticed some really interesting things you can do with her. But anyway, Jeff goes on in this article to talk about Mercy. Now, this is really interesting. So this is what he says about that. The goal, I'm about to tell you the goal, and it's going to make us sound like miserable failures, but the goal was to lessen the impact of Resurrect overall on the game, and then also change Mercy's playstyle so it was never wrong for Mercy to heal her teammates. We felt like we were in a situation, we had created a mechanic where a lot of times the correct thing to do for Mercy was to stop healing, disengage, protect herself, and then res en masse. That was more effective than her going out and single target healing one person. We felt like that was kind of broken gameplay for both Mercy and for, honestly, if we never really felt great on the other end, if your team gets a Graviton Surge with the rocket barrage into it, wow, we've just comboed every ult in the game. And then Mercy's like, no you didn't, they're all back. So that was the goal, to lessen the impact of Resurrect. Our goal now is to lessen the impact of Resurrect. We've had times where we were just trying to change a character without changing the power level. We are very intentionally trying to bring the power of Resurrect down. We want the top 2 things you notice about Mercy to be, oh my god, she's an amazing throughput healer, and wow, look at that mobility, she's just flowing back and forth through the map. And we don't want her to be the Resurrect bot that's just erasing kills. Now, this is what I've always been asking for Mercy, guys. I've never ever gone out and said Mercy's terrible, she needs removing, or anything like that. I was worried about the fact she could res people in any position, and she can completely, instantly take away the fact that you've killed somebody on the enemy team. So if you're playing Widow and get that really peachy headshot, Mercy could be like, no. And then she just brings that target back to life straight away. She can still kind of do that now, but she's very vulnerable when she does it because, of course, on the PTR, she's got the 1.25 second delay on the cast time of, and notice I said cast time, on Resurrect. And also she moves 75% slower, so it makes her very easy to shoot while she's doing it. And she can be interrupted while she's casting the Resurrect, which is huge. Even things like Lucio's boop can mess her up. So you can counter her now. So it is interesting to see that Jeff has said this. What I would like to know is why this wasn't said before all of these changes. Why wasn't this the straight up thing they just came out and said? We're going to nerf Resurrect because it's too powerful, and we want Mercy to be the awesome healer who's using a mobility awesome and healing people. Why didn't they just say that? Like they didn't. Now, obviously, they'll never remove Resurrect from the game. It's part of Mercy's kit. Resurrect is a very powerful ability. It's one of the most powerful abilities in the game. I think what's happened to it on PTR is going to see some pretty heavy changes to Mercy play. But we're going to have to get it onto live before we can make any kind of like solid sort of... I guess put some solid thoughts together on it, but it is nice to know that this was the plan. But why wasn't this communicated to us? It probably would have helped us with all of like the negativity that was, that's kind of been floating around. So they further asked about Resurrect and said, would you ever just remove an ability from the game? And this is what Jeff says. I think it would be unfortunate if we got to that place where we just gave up on the ability. I do think it's really cool. It feels great to be resurrected. It's such a playstyle change. At first, your first instinct, if you've played a lot of Mercy, your instinct is to play the old way. Your Guardian Angel into some 6v1 and hit your button and be like, oh, that was a big mistake. It takes a big adjustment. But once you do adjust, there's some really cool gameplay now. Suddenly, a Reinhardt shield or an Orisa shield or ducking behind the payload, those become very interesting strategic choices. So this is him just saying, look, the new Resurrect with the cast time, it means you have to be a bit more clever. You can't just fly and res, fly away and all of that mad stuff. So, it's cool and it's good. Now let's move on to Blizzard Land, or Blizzny World, whatever you want to call it. I really liked it. I don't know, they should have just called it Blizzny World. That sounds amazing. So this is the new map. Now this isn't available on the PTR just yet. I'm sure it'll be on the PTR very soon, because I know the plan is to get this out pretty quick. Moira is obviously on the PTR now, so you can go and play it if you would like. However, they asked him about the map, and he says, yes, it is. So in reference to, is it a theme park? He's saying yes. Well, it already was. Diva was... Oh, actually, is Blizzard... The question was, are Blizzard games in the Overwatch universe? And this is him answering that. It is, or well, it was already. Diva was a pro StarCraft player. Blizzard existed. Now, Overwatch is not part of the Blizzard canon. That would be super weird. But Hearthstone exists. Warcraft, Diablo, StarCraft, Heroes of the Storm, they all exist in the Overwatch universe, which means they can build an Overwatch map... not an Overwatch map. They can build a Blizzard map or Blizzard theme park in the Overwatch universe because the games exist in their universe, because Diva is a StarCraft player. Awesome. The amount of love that the team poured into this, every little detail, I can't wait for people. They have it here to play on the show floor, but I can't wait for it to go up on the PTR next week, because then they can just run around the empty map and explore. You can shoot those drones out of the sky, even the little balloons. The balloons, if you shoot the strings, they start floating up. If you shoot the balloons themselves, they pop. But all of the little Blizzard Easter eggs, we have voice actors. Deckard Cain is all over this. Uther, the adjutant from StarCraft. We have all these little sound triggers, the actual actors from the other properties. It's really fun. fun. Now, you probably heard a lot of names there, guys, that you might have not heard before, especially if Overwatch is your first Blizzard game. What I'm going to do is make a video on this map when it's available on the PTR and do a proper, like, in-depth explanation of all of the lore stuff and the, well, not so much the lore stuff, but all of the Easter egg stuff, because this map is not really got Overwatch lore in it, but it's got tons and tons of Blizzard-like Easter eggs. It is the most Easter egg-heavy map they have made. It is completely crazy. It's also the best-looking map, but I know that they were kind of worried because this map has a ton of detail in it, and no other Overwatch map is this detailed. This is like 3 maps worth of detail in one map. It is insanely detailed. I've no idea how the hell they even made this map, what with making Junkertown and all the other stuff that they're working on. It's totally crazy, but it is a phenomenal looking map. Obviously, how it plays, we don't know. We're going to have to get it, you know, onto live and all of that good stuff before we can comment on that. Now, this is Hanzo. Good old Hanzo. So, they asked Jeff about Hanzo. Now, there's been a lot of discussion about Hanzo recently, especially with his scatter arrow and how it can feel kind of bad. Now, I play a lot of tanks, and it's not great when Hanzo just deletes you when you're playing Winston or Reinhardt or Orisa or whatever. It doesn't feel great, does it, guys? It's like, oh, Hanzo just killed me. Fair enough. No, it feels terrible. So this is what Jeff says to questions about Hanzo. I don't think there's a world where we remove Scatter Arrow without doing significant other changes to Hanzo to get him to a good place. Hanzo has never. I think he's one of the most fun characters to play. I love the way the bow feels. I obviously think, obviously everything is very subjective when it comes to hero choice. There's chocolate and vanilla. For me, I'm playing a sniper. I'd much rather play Hanzo than Widowmaker, which is interesting. I just love how the bow feels, but Hanzo's never been considered a powerful meta character. In fact, sometimes your team actually questions why you're playing Hanzo. We need something different right now. Do they really, Jeff? That's a problem. I would like to get Hanzo to a more meta place, to a place where I think he's overall a more accepted character without changing how great that bow feels. Oh no, Jeff. Jeff wants to buff Hanzo, ladies and gentlemen. How does scatter shot factor into that? I'm not really sure at this point. I don't think there's such a thing as just nerfing scatter shot. That's not the correct thing to do with Hanzo. You have to look at Hanzo holistically. I almost said historically. The same way that we look at someone like Diva or Symmetra or Mercy, more holistically. You don't just tweak a number and then the character's fine. So, what we've learned from this is Jeff wants to do something to Hanzo, but he doesn't know what he wants to do, but he wants to make him more meta, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the thing with Hanzo is he's very inconsistent damage, isn't he? Scatter shot or scatter arrow. It's interesting he called it scatter shot there. That must be the World of Warcraft dev inside him. Is kind of like a dodgy ability, but it's an ability Hanzo needs because it kind of gives him that guaranteed damage that he can do every now and again. Now, obviously, Widow doesn't have this, but it's easier for Widow to shoot people because she's got a scope, right? Than it is Hanzo to try and land those headshots. A lot of like long-range headshots with Hanzo, you're just sort of firing in the area and hoping that you hit people, and that's fine. You know, it's a good tactic on some maps, like King's Row first point on attack. Hanzo can be crazy powerful there. If he gets a few picks, you can just go straight in. So it is interesting that they are, or could potentially be looking at Hanzo. However, there is tons of stuff in this interview. I want you guys to go and check out the link below because it will take you there and you can read through it if you like. I've covered most of the main stuff. I mean, I guess the interesting thing is, I guess the weird thing, and this is something that I would have asked Jeff about if I had the chance to interview him. I'm just so gutted I didn't have the time to do it because the way it works at BlizzCon is everybody's all over the place, and like the Anaheim Convention Center is so massive, and I was spending most of my time in the fancy VIP area, ladies and gentlemen, in the Overwatch arena. But I like going back and forth then up to the different levels and all kinds of stuff. It's so hard just to find time to get to people. And like most of the time, if people are free, it's like, oh yeah, I'm 20 minutes away, and they're like, oh god, I've got to be somewhere else in 20 minutes. And you can just never catch up. It's insane. They need to get like them walk-in floors that you have in airports. They need that in that convention center, or at least little buggies or something to drive around on, because it's ridiculous. But what I would have asked him is, why didn't they tell us a new hero in a new map was being worked on? Because we knew nothing about this. And in fact, Jeff even said the hero isn't coming out when you think. Like, why didn't they say, yeah, like teasers or something come out for this hero? Like, Moira just came out of nowhere. And it's like, oh, okay, Moira. Like, yeah, I'll tell you one little interesting thing before I end the video. So when I went into BlizzCon a couple of days before it was open to the public, they were keeping everything pretty under wraps. Like, we didn't know what the heroes were. I'm walking through the show floor and they are showing on the big screen, right, the map and Moira, and I'm just standing there like, okay. And one of the Blizzard guys walks past and went, oh, okay. And I was like, yep. That's actually when you guys, if you guys follow me on Twitter, that's when I tweeted out, do you think if I drop my phone on the floor and it takes pictures, then somehow starts tweeting, the Blizzard police will arrest me? That was when I seen that, and I was like, oh no, I've now got to keep quiet. Like, this is going to kill me. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think about all of this below in the comments. And I'm probably going to do some sort of video where I talk about all of BlizzCon. I'm going to do a map tour when the map comes out. There's loads of stuff going on the channel. It's going to be absolutely awesome these next few weeks. But guys, all right, I'll leave it at that. I've been Stylosa. This is Unit Lost. You can follow me on Twitter, which is @UnitLostGaming, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Toodaloo.